Hey everyone, how are we all doing today? Hope we're all doing well. Today's video, we're going to be creating our emoji pillows. So here's what our finished product is going to look like. I did the side-eye smiley face for mine. You guys are going to see in a little bit that you're going to have different options to create yours. This is the face that I chose. So to accomplish this today, what we're going to be looking at is what materials we need. You're going to be needing some felt, of course, our needles, threads, our fabric markers, pencils, or chalk, along with some scissors and other common tools. So we're going to go over how to sew on each thing. I'm going to show you guys how to cut out each piece, how you're going to sew your appliques on, and what stitches we're going to be using to attach everything to our final product. So I hope you guys have fun. And I just want to remind you guys, if you have any questions throughout the video or you got confused with anything, go back to those previous videos that I've posted that go over all the stitches we're going to be doing, how to tie a knot, make a finishing knot, anything that you're confused on. First, go back to those videos and see if you can find what you're looking for. But have fun, and I'll see you guys in a second. So the first thing we're going to have to do is grab our worksheet that has our sewing pattern on it. What you're going to do here is you're going to cut out this circle. This will be the pattern for the front and the back of our emoji pillow. You're going to pick a pair of eyeballs along with a mouth. I chose to use the side eye along with the smiley face with the tongue. So I'm going to go ahead, cut those out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have my pieces cut out, so I can throw them right on top of that paper. And this is what my product will look like, my emoji pillow, by the time that I'm done. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna push this all to the side here. I'll leave it there. And I have to start off by drawing the stencil for each of the pieces. So I'm gonna start off with the yellow. So I have my circle here. Like I said, this is gonna be the front and the back of my work. So you can use either a fabric pencil marker, or today I'm using fabric chalk. You're gonna go ahead, hold that in place, and you're going to trace your pattern right on top of the felt. After you do that, you take that off and you're left with the line that you can then cut around. So you're gonna do that one more time here. And then I also am going to do that for my eyepieces. Eyepieces, my mouth, and then also what I'm gonna do with, after I trace the mouth, I'm gonna come right in here and I'm going to cut out the tongue. I have to cut out the tongue because when I draw the stencil for the tongue piece, I need to have that stencil. So I just cut that out there so I can go ahead, draw my line for the tongue. I just want to take a second to go over with the eyeball. Just like the tongue, how I had to cut that out, I'm going to be doing the same thing for the eyeball. I just got done cutting out the fabric for my eyeball, and as you can see, I need to include a pupil. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out that eyeball, the pupil. So now I have that for the eyeball that I can use as a stencil. So here we go. We can start seeing how our pieces are going to be coming together. So now we're ready to get started to sew. So all I'm going to need at this point is a needle and thread. I'm using matching threads. You can use contrasting colors if you'd like. It's all up to you. So what I like to do is place this where I would like it to go. And now, as we can see, that there are two different layers of appliques. So what I do is I place everything where I'd like it. Actually, I think that that's perfect. And now I'm going to start pinning everything in place. But I have to sew my bottom layer on before I can the top. So I'm going to take those off, put those right with my pattern to the side, and we're going to go ahead and pin those down. So I'm using my pin cushion that we made previously. And all I'm doing is Going down and up. To hold those exactly where I want them. So now I can go ahead, I'm gonna sew these 3 pieces on using white thread and black for the mouth. So just like anything else, I want my my knots to be in the back of my work. I like to start from the top left corner. You can start wherever you're comfortable. This is just where I like to go. All right, so now that I have my first stitch in, I'm going to complete a back stitch all around the perimeter of this applique. So again, one more review on the back stitch. We're gonna go, zoom in a little. We're gonna go see where our thread is coming out from, go over one piece into our work. Come out one stitch space over to the right. And now we have that little gap. We're gonna go back into the hole of our first stitch. And now we have our first back stitch. So we're gonna go ahead, do this for the entirety of this row until we come back all the way around to where we started. All right, so I'm just finishing my last stitch here. So I'm just gonna go right into the back. Go ahead and create that finishing knot where we scoop under our stitch, hold, make that loop, wrap it around 2 times, support and pull. And then I'm gonna go ahead and sew on both of these eyeballs. So again, I'm gonna go right around the edge without back stitch. One out, and again, you're gonna go over one stitch base, poke that through. Come back up one stitch space over, and then we have that gap. So we're gonna go back into the hole of our last stitch. Move one space over, and then go back into our most previous hole. There we go. So now I have my mouth and one eyeball sewn on. I can go ahead and do this one. So now that I've finished sewing on my eyes and the mouth, I'm gonna move on to sewing on my pupils. So for the pupils, the first thing I wanna do before I pin them down is place them exactly where I want them to be on my project. So I'm just gonna take a second, place them where I want. I think that looks good. Yep, just right there. And now I'm gonna take my pins. Again, I'm gonna hold that in place, push down, bend, and bring it right back up. And that's gonna hold it right in place while I'm sewing. I can get started. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for where I'm gonna poke my needle out right where I want it to start. We want to try to get that right on the edge, not too close to the middle. This way we can go all around. So right about there. Go ahead, pull that through. And now I'm going to complete my back stitch going around this pupil and do the same thing for my other pupil. Both my eyes are sewn on completely now. So now I can move on to the tongue. Now that my entire face is sewn on, I can go ahead, take that other piece of circle fabric that I had from before, place them right on top of each other. So now that I have that on, I like to start off with the top to the bottom, to the left, to the right, and then if I need more, I'll put it in on the diagonals. So we're going to make sure that we leave a finger's gap. So pretty much exactly where this one pin is, I'm going to not sew. So I'm going to start sewing from this point, go all the way around, and then I'm going to stop here. Once I get to this point, I am not going to finish off my work. I'm going to leave that stitch on, leave that needle and thread connected, stuff it, and then continue. And at that point, when I get back to where I started, then I would finish off my work. So we come one space over, through the back, pull through, have that loop, go through the loop, and pull up. And then that gives us our nice stitch with the edges making that nice decorative line. I'm gonna go one more time. One stitch over, hold onto that loop, go through the loop, and finish that stitch. There we go. So now, as you can see, I'm starting to accomplish that blanket stitch across the perimeter, the edge of my work. Now that I'm done doing my blanket stitch, so I have that gap, I can go ahead, remove this pin because we're not going to need that. And now we're going to be ready to start stuffing. So the first thing I want to say is when you open up that hole, some of your stitches here might come loose. That's completely fine because after we finish stuffing and close that back, you can just pull that and that closes up those stitches perfectly fine. So we're going to go ahead, take that. And just like the pin cushion, I'm going to be working little bits of stuffing in at a time. And you're always welcome to use some sort of pencil. I always say you can use your fabric pencil or fabric marker because typically we have those handy when we're sewing. I'm just going to put that, little pieces, and push it right into place. So now that that's closed, I can go ahead and continue my blanket stitch until I come back to my starting point. So I'll just work that with you. And I just want to remind you, if at any point in this project you're confused or you forget how to do something, you can always refer to the previous videos where we go over the blanket stitch, the back stitch, how to tie, how to thread a needle, how to tie a knot, a finishing knot. All those videos are there for you to reference and use as a tool to help you guys accomplish and finish these projects. Sorry, just hit into the camera there. All right, and that's going to be my last stitch. Perfect. So now I just finished. That's where I started. That's where I'm finishing. So I'm going to tie that finishing knot. Just scoop it, wrap it, and pull. There we go. One way I like to hide that string is I'll take the needle, I'll push it right back, I'll come out through the side here. This helps tuck in that last stitch and then cut it flush. And then you just tug it and then that hides it. And I can go ahead, push this all around now, make it nice. And there we go. All right, well, that's that. So now you guys all made your emoji pillows. I hope you all had fun. I hope you all continue working on this. I'm excited to see what your projects look like and all of the different faces that you guys are going to come up with. Again, if you have any questions, you're confused, go back to those other videos or rewatch this video. All right, I hope you guys had fun. See you later. Bye.